Autoweb. Welcome to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, the #1 resource for automotive sales professionals, managers, and owners to learn how to make money, accumulate wealth, and to all out ball out in the auto industry. And now your hosts, Sean V. Bradley and L.A. Williams.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Autoweb.
Hey everybody, this is Sean V. Bradley, and I'm with a very good friend of mine, the general manager of McGrath City Hyundai and Genesis of Oak Park, Mr. Kevin Curtis. What's up, Kevin?
Good morning.
All right, man. So first of all, congratulations. We were just talking about this in the car this morning. How long have you been a general manager now for?
Going on my third month.
Okay. So you've been in the automotive industry for how long?
A little over a decade.
Okay, and so, I don't know, like when you are a salesperson or even a sales manager, I mean, there's this mystique of being the general manager or the man in charge. So was this something that you always wanted to do? Like once you got into the industry, was become a GM and have your own command?
Absolutely.
All right, so is it everything you thought it was going to be?
And then a lot more.
All right, so explain that to the people, because there's a lot of people in this group, man, that you know that want to, they want to send to becoming a general manager. So, what didn't you realize? Because I mean, like you've been in it for a decade, but I think that it's a whole nother level now that you're a GM. So, what are the things that you did not realize going to being a GM?
Absolutely. So my predecessor and mentor, Jeremy Gleason, you know, he told me before he handed me the reins, be careful what you ask for, right? And he reminds me that semi-regularly because, you know, we have a lot of mentoring sessions together. But yeah, you know, the attention to detail that's required is just insane. You know, the amount of reports and data they have to go through because if you're going to scale something, you got to track it, right? If you're not tracking things, there's no way to scale it or improve it. So just, you know, surprising. I knew I thought I knew what to expect, right? It was just the difference in how much of it and the intensity of it.
How many, well, first of all, how many units do you sell a month, new and used, right now?
Sure, so, well, right now, you know, we're selling pretty much whatever the factory will give us, which, unfortunately, right now we're capped at around 60 new a month. We're pushing to get that increase, you know, working the factory, trying to keep our turn rate low and, you know, day supply low so we can try to earn more cars. So last month we did 61 new and only about 55 used. So I'm focusing right now on beefing up the used car inventory.
But the grosses are ridiculous.
The grosses are pretty ridiculous, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So
we average, combined new and used, we average probably 6,500 to 7,000.
A copy? That's a lot of wood, bro.
That's a lot of wood.
Yes. All right. So how many?
It's not what you make. It's what you keep.
Right. Talk about that though. Talk about that because that's a whole nother level. Like, see, a lot of sales managers get paid on the gross, not the net.
Right. Yeah, most do.
Okay. So yeah, but like, repeat what you just said again because I caught that.
Right. It's not what you make. It's what you keep. Right?
Okay. Explain what that means.
So, you know, as on a higher level general manager or dealer principal, and, you know, I do know some GSMs get paid on the net. So, you know, after all expenses, it doesn't matter if, you know, if you're grossing $5 million a month, if your expenses are 5.5 million, right? then you're losing money. So, and you know that comes down to personal finances too, right? You got sales guys who are making right now unheard of money. You know, guy who was normally making 80 grand's now making, some are making 200. But you know, then they go and get the boat and the sports car, and you know, maybe they buy a big house, and now you're making that extra money, but your bank account still looks the same as when it did when you were making 80 grand. So it definitely translates over to personal finances too. So it's not about what you make; it's about what you keep.
So you've learned to appreciate the game in a different level now, right? Because
For sure.
you're more cognizant of expenses because your ass is tied to the bottom line.
Right.
Okay, I love this. How many salespeople and service writers? How many reps do you have? Employees do you have total in the store?
Total's probably about 65.
You have 65 employees.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that, man, because like
Tax office, everything. Yeah.
I know you personally, and you are a good human being, bro. Like, you're a good dude. You're a good husband, good father, and a good, GM. But it's got, that pressure's got to get to you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have 65 employees. I have probably about 1/3 of that. I got about 20. And I know that I get up and every day with Karen, and we are always cognizant of our people. Like, is it ever bug you out that you got 65 people that fucking depend on your decisions and their families and their kids and stuff like that?
It definitely crosses your mind, right? So you want to take care of your people. They're by far your number one asset. I think a lot of people lose sight of that sometimes, but your people are the hardest. I want to show people this.
This wasn't, you're supposed to be there, but I want to show people this, is that I come in and he's got all of these books. So this is great. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. You've got all these How to Win Friends and Influence People, Who Moved My Cheese, and then the new one from Chris Voss, The Never Split the Difference. So why do you have all these books? If this doesn't work out as a GM, you're going to be a librarian now?
Yeah, no, I can only read a book, one time, and then I have to throw it out and read it again. It's got to be brand new. Like that. No, obviously it's for the team. So I ordered them. I got, I think, about 6 or 7 of each, and that way I can kind of, if one guy wants to read one guy wants to read the other. So I'm not just throwing one book at everybody, and I'm not doing like book reports or anything like that. I'm going to ask them, if they're going to read it or not. And just to be honest, if they're not going to read it, then, I'm not going to give it to them. But these are all books that have definitely significantly helped me in my career. So, just trying to...
I love it.
Trying to bring the team up.
All right, well, listen, I know that Dealer Synergy is going to be here for this whole week. I'm only here for today. I'm going to do the kickoff with my team. Malik's here. We're building a service BDC. But I want to get more into some technical stuff. I don't want to be too forward, but I believe one of the reasons why you were given the general manager position, besides you earned it obviously, is because you're a fucking beast, bro, on the desk. You're a closer and you put deals together. Is there any other reason?
I think that would be my strong point for sure.
All right, good. So let's go through this. So let's just have some fun. These are just some warm-up questions for you. You know what I'm saying? Just to get it's early. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, so here's what I want to talk about. Desking deals, but from the desk's point of view, okay? So talk to me, like, how do you get your salespeople to do what you want them to do? And then what is it that you want them to do? So here's a scenario. I'm the prospect. My name is Sean Bradley. I'm in the market right now, as you know, for an SUV. Let's just say the Palisade, right? For a Palisade. And give me one of your salespeople name, just first name.
Chris.
Okay, so let's say Chris is gonna up me. I'm a straight up. I'm not an appointment. I'm here. Okay, from the GM's perspective, how do you want Chris to engage me and get me started before the negotiations? Talk us through, how do you want your salesperson to engage a potential prospect?
Well, obviously with a warm greeting, right, and then bring them up to the sales tower and introduce them to the management staff so they see that face early, and then do a customer needs assessment.
Okay, so let's talk about this. So this is funny. I don't know if you know, but I'm doing a master class on the Dealer Synergies customer worksheet and qualifying. I want to ask your opinion on this. I find that the vast majority of dealerships, that means over half of them, the vast majority, are struggling with qualifying. You know what I mean? Some people don't have good qualifying sheets, worksheets, up sheets, whatever you want to call them. And, if they do, some dealers don't even use them because they're using the digital ones in the CRM, and they're not consistent. How important is qualifying a prospect, in your opinion?
Very important. Otherwise, there's a very high probability you're going to end up wasting time. And, time's money, or time's your number one asset. Why do you want to waste it?
Okay, I would agree. So what are the things that you want a salesperson to do? What types of qualifying questions do you think are important? What should be the overall acquisition of information that your person's going to get?
Sure. Well, the number one thing is, they need to listen, right? A lot of people, or most people that walk into a dealership, don't really even know what they want. They think they want one vehicle, but after a proper needs assessment is done, a lot of times the vehicle they thought was the right vehicle isn't the right vehicle because they don't know the product lineup like, your sales pros should. Not that they all do, but the good ones do, right? So they need to ask what the important features are, right? Do they need the third row? Is leather more important than cloth? Do they have to have the moonroof? Is all-wheel drive important? Things like that. And then you want to investigate into, of course, is there a trade-in? If there is there a payoff? If so, with who, right? Because those questions can tell you a lot. If the payoff is with Exeter or Santander, now you might have to start digging in a little more, because now it might be a subprime customer, or maybe they've had that car 3 years now and they were a subprime customer and now they're not, because they've been on top of their stuff and making their payments and things like that, and money down, things like that.
Okay, so let's just say that Chris qualifies me the right way. He uses a dealer synergy customer worksheet, right? He's asking all the qualifying questions. In your house, under your command, do you allow your salesperson to do the product selection, or do you want them, after they qualify the prospect, to check with the desk so the desk knows what direction, does it vary from the salesperson to salesperson?
Right, yeah, you got to know your people. 100%. That's exactly what I was going to say. You got to know your team. You got to know your people. And I definitely have guys that I don't need to get involved as hands-on, because I know their skill level and I know that they're doing a proper qualification. I know they're skilled at selecting products, that they're skilled at identifying when maybe it's a subprime customer and things like that. So unfortunately there's no blanket answer to that. You got to know your people.
All right, so what I'm hearing is that it's both. For the new people or the inexperienced people, the people that are struggling, absolutely, before you go on a phantom chase, you're going to check in with the desk, make sure that the desk sets you on the right path of which vehicle to show the customer. And then obviously, if you have more experience and you're proving yourself already in the field, you don't need to babysit. You let them do what they do. All right, so let's go back to Chris. He upped me, qualified me the right way. I'm good. He shows me a vehicle. How do you like handling negotiations? Do you believe in always trial closing from the very beginning, or what's your philosophy?
Well, absolutely, you should trial close. I mean, why would you not? It's almost like you're taking somebody's temperature.
Give us some, obviously I know you, but this is for the the group and the podcast. Give us some examples of trial closes that they could use.
One of my favorite ones was when I was selling cars at the end of the test drive. You're pulling back up to the dealership, wherever it is, and I'd always use the same few spots. I'm like, oh, here, pull to that spot right there. That's the sold line. That's the spot for sold cars. Pull in right there. Right, and see if they do it or not, or how they react to it. Right.
Yes.
The other would be, okay, so is this going to go in one name or two? Right.
Right.
So there's an example of a couple of that I like.
Oh, that's what's up. I like that too. Okay, good. So then let's just say the test drive goes great. They do a service walk. Okay, now this is where I need your GM brain right here. Okay, how and where and when does the negotiation start?
I mean, yeah, you definitely want to get them to your desk, right? Because then you should be, anyways, in more control at the desk. You got them seated. That's your domain. The Thunderdome, whatever you want to call it. That's your arena. So where you should feel comfortable and in control, because control is important when negotiating a deal.
So how do you want your people to do this? Because again, if I came back off the test drive with your salesperson Chris, he sat me at your desk. To me, there's two different paths you could go. Path one is that the salesperson could take out the customer worksheet and then could start to try to gain the first commitment. When I sold cars, way back, this is in the late 90s, when I started selling cars, I wasn't able to go to the desk until I had a signed commitment and I had a deposit, right there. And then I could go present the offer to the desk. I know those times have changed, but that's one extreme. The other extreme is as soon as they come back, they check in with the desk and the desk gives them the first pencil or gives them the numbers to present, however you want to articulate that. And then the salesperson articulates that. So how do you prefer it under your command? Do you want it when the salesperson takes the prospect off the test drive, they get them back in the dealership, they sit them at their desk into their Thunderdome, like you said? Do you want the salesperson to try to gain a commitment and then go to the desk? Or do you you want them to get the numbers from the desk first to present?
Yeah, I definitely want to present the numbers first.
Explain.
Right?
Good.
Well,
good.
because what you might run into, right, is how much money you want to put down. Well, everyone wants to put down as little or nothing, right?
Right.
You know, rarely you get the one person who they had set in their mind, well, I'm going to put 10 G's down, I'm going to put 20 G's down, whatever. The majority of car deals, people want to put little to no money down, right? Everyone wants a $250 to $350 payment, right?
Yes.
Well, that's not realistic in these times, right? Payments are higher, money down is usually going to be required a little bit more, 10, 20%. So my preference is to go out there with the pencil, just showing 20% down, showing, wherever the payment is and stuff like that. And then when they present it, now, boom, instead of them giving you their low number, they now will give you their high number, right? Or they might just be fine with it. You never know.
So let's talk about that. What is your personal strategy, again, as a desk manager, as a general manager, when you get, let's reverse the roles. Let's just say Sean Bradley is a salesperson and the dude Chris is the prospect. He's the up. So let's say I come to you. I'm like, yo, Kev, I got this guy, Chris, right now. He's looking at the Palisade right there. How do you structure, from the desk point of view, how do you structure your first pencil? What are you thinking? What do you want to, what do you show me and why? Talk us through what a first pencil looks like and why do you go that way?
As far as just the structure of the deal?
Yes. Do you just pull it out of the air, or do you, because you said 20% down?
Yeah.
So give us some of the details. Certain dealerships have, and this is why I'm interviewing you, because not a lot of people talk about this. This is like coveted trade craft, but it's not that deep. Some people, for example, they have a 3-point pencil. So it doesn't matter what the person's looking for.
Right.
They might show them a finance number.
I get where
They
you're
might show them a lease number. They might show them a certified pre-owned vehicle.
Sure.
Or there might be 6 different, payment types. I'm trying to figure out, how do you, as the desk manager or the general manager, decide what the first offer is going to be or the first scenario is going to be?
So,
Talk me through
so-
that.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Attention auto dealers, you need an opportunity to do business. AutoWeb is one of the largest suppliers of high quality leads, high quality buyers. At a 10% closing ratio, you will be at less than $190 per car sold. Don't just settle for what you get. AutoWeb can fully customize your results through targeted markets and/or zip codes, and as a partner, you will get premium placement within search results. Who better to do that than literally the people that invented automotive internet sales? If you want to sell more cars more often and more profitably, then you need AutoWeb.
So right now, leasing is just completely skewed, right? It honestly just, at least for my brand, it just doesn't really make sense. The money factors suck. There's no rebate. And so unfortunately, typically you get more car for less payment on a lease. It's just not the case right now, at least with my brands. A 36-month lease is actually a couple $100 higher than a 72-month finance. So I'm not really presenting leases to where previously, yes, I would probably present them a little more often. But I always present 9 options on my pencils. That's what my staff does.
9?
9, right. So it's a grid, right? So we're always going to present 48, 60, and 72. And then there's going to be 3 different down payment options, right? So you got your down payments, you got your terms, and then within they're going to have 9 different options. So if they put 20% down in 48 months, 60, 72, you get the idea.
Yeah.
So, and that's how
What software do you use for desking?
we just got a VIN.
You just got a VIN.
Yep.
You like VIN's desking tool?
I do, yeah.
I do too.
Super simple.
It's very simple.
And you can, I got templates that are preloaded for my team. So I have a certified template. I have a new Genesis car, new Genesis truck, new car, subprime. So super simple.
All right. So now, so you print out nine options. Mm-hmm. And how do you want your salesperson to go present this? So let's switch gears.
Sure.
Now you're the salesperson, but you're a good salesperson that's following Kevin's desk's rules. All right, and I'm the prospect. So let's just pretend like you have the numbers right there.
Sure.
Okay, and so how would you present them to me?
Yeah. So if these are the numbers, right? So here's your box. This thing wants to work for me. So here's your 9 options. Right, you got 1, 2, 3, yada yada yada. Here's the term. You get the idea.
Mm-hmm.
So I teach my crew, never to verbalize the numbers. Obviously, you want to do it with confidence, and you come up and you just be like, all right, Sean, so here's a few options for you. If you put this amount down and you want to go this term, here's your payment, right? Or if you want to put a little more money down and extend the term a little bit more, then here's your payment. So what would you prefer? Would you want a shorter term, bigger payment, pay it off early? Or would you rather stretch it out a little bit and have a smaller monthly payment? What works best for you?
Okay, so talk to me through this. Do people, that makes sense why, when you present somebody with so many different options, it's better than just giving them a yes or no. It's like, will you take it? Yes or no. It's like there's 9 different options here. How does this make it easier for them to pick something versus pushing back and saying none of it?
Yeah, no, usually when you give people options, their tendency is to pick one, right? Where if it's a yes or no, they're either going to say yes or no.
Right.
But when you give them multiple options, chances are more likely that they're going to pick one, or at least you're going to find out where on the spectrum that they're at. So then you can focus, you can identify what the objection is if there is one. So what's the issue? Is the money down the issue, or is it the payment that's the issue? Occasionally they're going to say both, right? Then you got a little more work to do.
Well, talk us through this. Like, this is obviously we're in, going on the second week of May in 2022. Masks are finally off flying from Philadelphia here. I mean, the world's kind of getting back into somewhat reality from the pandemic as at least travel goes. So I want to hear from you as of today. What are the biggest challenges or responses when you or your salespeople present a 9-grade option? What do they say? Is it down payments issue? Is it term? Give us some feedback. Give us some field intelligence.
Yeah, no, it's usually not term. Sometimes it's down payment, but depending on the situation, right? Because you're at this point, the desk is involved, right? So the desk, when they're formulating all this, they have to be cognitive, and they're trained in knowing what a bank will and won't buy, right?
Right.
So if you got some negative equity, right, or obviously a lot of places now have addendums and things like that, and especially on the cheaper cars, a bank's only going to buy so much, right? You got to know your LTVs. So you got to know whether or not you really need.
Explain what LTV is to the
loan to value ratio, right? So the bank, if it's a used car, it's a book. If it's a new car, it's the invoice. Well, a bank's only going to loan so much based on what the vehicle's worth, right? Hyundai's actually awesome on new cars. For tier 1 only, they'll actually go to 150%. So
damn.
If you got a 20G car, then you can finance 30 grand just for the front end, and then you still get full back. So you got to know your lenders, you got to know the LTVs, and then that allows you to be more effective in your.
Okay, so how does a salesperson's got to know that, or a manager's got to know that?
The manager's got to know.
Okay, so
The salesperson's job is to take it over there and either they either close the deal, or when they go with the first pencil, if they don't have an agreement with what was put in front of them, then they're supposed to come back with a signed offer. Well, where will they buy at? So by asking those different questions, what's the problem? Identify that problem. Okay, so you're telling me if you could put 0 down, but be at this payment, we would have a deal? Okay, great. 0 down, 72 at 495, sign here. Right?
Right. All right, so from doing this for a decade and obviously ascending from sales to management to executive management to becoming the general manager of this store in Chicago, what would you say makes deals blow up or makes things frustrating to prospects or elongates the process? What's the dumb shit that salespeople and desks do that just jack up the process, that overcomplicate it?
Sure, obviously tons of answers to that question.
That's why I'm asking. Start firing.
One of which is they're not listening, right? They're not listening to the customer. They hit an objection, and instead of empathetically listening to the customer to where they can really figure out what the real objection is, because usually the customer's not going to give you the real objection. They object, but they mask it, right? Smoke and mirrors. They don't really want to tell you why. So instead of listening and digging that out of them, so a lot of times you got to dig, the salesman starts thinking in their head how they're going to reply to the objection when they don't even know what the objection is, right? They stop listening and start thinking about what they're going to say next. So, that's a big issue. The other is in the path of least resistance, right? Instead of, they say, oh, well, I really want to be at $350 a month. Well, you got to find out what's more important, the payment or the vehicle, right? So instead of figuring that out and working the deal, they'll be like, oh, okay, well, here, let me go show you a car that you can get for $350 a month. And they show them something that there's no chance that the customer's ever going to buy, but they keep pushing the product presentation because they think that, oh, well, they got to be at $350. In all reality, they probably would have went to $495 to get the car that they want, but you didn't try, right? So I'd say not listening, showing the wrong car. Those are things that'll blow.
It's crazy that you're saying this because NADA says the number one reason why people don't buy cars is because they're landed on the wrong car.
Right.
Too much car, too little car, it's not the right car. So a lot of people think that now because it's inventory or it's pricing, that's not it, man. You just said yourself that you're averaging $6,500 a freaking copy, insane, at a Hyundai dealership. So price is only relevant with the absence of value. This is what I've been saying my entire 23-year career. If that wasn't true, people would not be spending tens of thousands of dollars over sticker on used cars right now. You know what I mean? So obviously, supply demand is one thing. It goes back to qualifying, I think. You only have one shot to make a first impression. And if somebody comes in to the dealership or they're calling you as a phone up or they're submitted an internet purchase request, if you don't properly identify the prospect's wants, wishes, expectations, needs, etc., it's going to be difficult or possibly impossible to put a deal together. Would you agree?
100%.
Okay, so because we got to get started for work, I want to ask two last closing questions, okay? So what would you say are some tips and advice that you can give salespeople, but not the same bullshit everybody else says, work hard and, I'm gonna stop, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm just you're a real car guy, man. You know what I mean? Bottom line, if you want to be successful in this business, especially now in the climate, what's your tips? What's Kevin's tips?
Tip number one is figure out what successful is to you. What is successful to you in the industry? I got guys that they want to be the best car salesman they can be. They like the freedom of, kind of being able to make their own hours and things like that. Obviously, there's a ton of money to be made on the sales floor right now. And honestly, there always has been a ton of money to be made on the sales floor. Now it's just,
didn't you tell me?
Because it's gotten a little bit easier. There's the guys that have been making this kind of money for decades consistently, right? Now it's just become easier to where, the average guy and even the below average guy are making the money, right? There's guys that have been on the sales floor making $200-300 and up,
right? Yeah,
forever, guys.
Yes.
So let's be serious. But yeah, 7 habits, right? Begin with the end in mind, right?
Right.
So that's would be tip number one. If you don't know what success means to you, then how are you ever going to achieve it?
I love it. And just to put some numbers to this, we just talked in the car this morning, and you had said, what is the largest commission a showroom salesperson received, in the last, let's say, 6 to 9 months?
Sure. At my dealership,
yeah,
it was just shy of about $7,000
on
a single deal.
They made a $7,000 commission.
Correct.
Okay. What kind of vehicle was it? What the hell happened? How?
It was the stars aligned. How about that? No, it was a new Genesis GV80. The Tiger Woods mobile.
Yes.
So, but no, they had big money down, paid off trade, and I was my number one sales guy, and he built the value and.
But that's gotta feel good to get a $7,000 commission on one deal. You know what I mean? That's you know what I mean? I'm only 5'5", but I feel tall that day. You know what I mean? As I got that check, I'd feel very tall that day. I would go to the show. I'm like, who wants to play basketball right now? Sean Bradley got you. Sure. I'm playing ball right there. I'm hooping.
Yeah, that was probably. It was. That was last summer, so I was still on the desk then. I dusted that deal, and I felt good about it. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
So.
All right, last question then, similar, but what is your advice to sales managers? Because, man, I'm going to tell you right now, I believe that there's a lot of sales managers that are antiquated. I mean, they're like cemented, their ass is cemented to the tower. You know what I mean? Like, I think that sales management's changed. Like, a sales manager role, if you're doing the same shit that you did even 5, but especially 10, 15 years ago, then you need to really rethink your career, because sales managers need to evolve. But that's just my opinion. What's your advice or opinion about the future of sales management success?
Yeah, I mean, I talked about it earlier. I'd say one of the important parts is you gotta know your people, right? If you don't know your people, you can't manage them. So know your people, lead from the front, don't push from the back. Get out.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
It means get off your fucking ass.
Yeah.
Get out of your seat. TO early, TO often, earn your people's respect. And then, especially going back to knowing your people, you got the greener guys or maybe the weaker guys that are maybe strong at some things. Like they might have a great product presentation. People absolutely love them, and they're the type of people are going to come back because of them, but they're not great negotiators.
Right.
So go negotiate for them. And whether it's a green person who needs to learn, or if it's that person that I just talked about who's an asset to the team, but just negotiating isn't their thing, but they're making people happy, bringing people back, get up on the first pencil. You present the first pencil. You don't always need to send them out to get you an offer. I got guys that I'll go where I tell my managers, hey, go in on the first pencil. So you got to earn their respect for sure. Help them and you do that by making them money. That's how you're in sales guys' respect and sales gals' respect.
Yeah, you hit something. I definitely love that. You're absolutely right. One is if you are getting in this shit yourself, if you are taking the up, if you're doing the TO, if you're closing the deal, because anybody could just go in a deal and then drop down gross. I mean, they could have did that. Right. So you really earn the respect when you're able to make them money, put numbers on the board, lead by example, show them that you are about this life. You know what I mean? You're not going to just delegate, from the ivory tower, so to speak. I have a question though, I'm sorry, and I promise we got to get going, but this is just too good to get all this knowledge from you. I believe, from my experience, okay, that the vast majority of sales managers and GSMs, hell, even GMs, they stop training, dude. They stop training. They start making excuses like, oh, I don't have time to train, or I already know what to do, or I've done this before. Why is it that if you think about this, like when you get to a position of leadership or position of power, you stop educating yourself? I think it's utterly absurd.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I out-train my entire team, so.
Well, that's why you're the GM.
I think that is the reason why I am the GM for sure. I'm the type of guy, and I don't think I'll have ever figured it out. Do I know there's some things that I excel at and that I'm better than most at? Absolutely. But there's always somebody with a bigger boat, right? So, I mean, if you're not learning, then you're decaying, right? Training is not something you did; it's something you do, right?
Yes.
You're not gonna stop showering, are you?
Nope.
You're gonna keep showering,
yep.
right?
Yep.
Well, your brain's the same way. If you don't clean your brain with new information, and
you'd be stinky. All right.
What's up?
All right, listen. Let's close on this. Tell everybody we're building a service BDC. Why?
Why? Because we've been outsourcing it, and I'm a big believer in inspect what you expect. And when something is out of house, it makes it very difficult to inspect it, right? And honestly, we're just not getting the results that I needed out of it.
So you call Ghostbusters, you call Dealer Synergy.
So let's go.
Let's do it. All right, let's get to work, brother.
Let's go.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
So there you have it, the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast. This podcast comes to you every week from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. If you have a question about the show or would like the chance to become a guest, feel free to contact us directly at 856-546-2440 or email us at millionairecarsalesman@gmail.com. This program is a presentation of Synergy Records, produced by Tiana Mick and L.A. Williams. Production and engineering by L.A. Williams. The Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast is hosted every week by L.A. Williams and the Millionaire Car Salesman himself, Sean V. Bradley. The Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast can be found everywhere, so please don't forget to review, subscribe to, and share the show. Thanks for listening to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, and remember, where I'm from, money provides options. The Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast is sponsored in part by Autoweb. If you enjoyed this podcast, then make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave us a review. Let some other folks know about it. Oh, and don't forget to join the Millionaire Car Salesman group on Facebook. We'll see you there.